Hello, and welcome back to another safety short video brought to you by the Motor Safety Association. My name is Kevin Milligan, and I'm a safety advisor with the Motor Safety Association. And today, I'm going to speak to you about propane safety. First, let's talk a little bit about what propane is. Propane is a hydrocarbon and is commonly referred to as liquefied petroleum gas, or LPG. LPG is comprised mainly of propane, butane, or mixes of both. At atmospheric pressure, LPG exists as a gas. Increasing the pressure on LPG will cause the gas to condense and liquefy. Propane is kept under moderate pressure and is stored and transported as a compressed liquid. In its natural state, propane is colorless and odorless. As a safety measure, an odorant is added to propane to help detect any potential leaks. The odorant in propane is ethyl mercaptan, a sulfur-based compound that smells like boiling cabbage or rotten eggs. Propane is non-toxic, and if it's released into a confined space, it will displace the air. Propane boils and vaporizes at minus 42 degrees Celsius or minus 44 degrees Fahrenheit and will remain as a liquid at temperatures below that point. At temperatures above that point, liquid propane boils, creating the vapor we use to fuel a variety of our propane appliances. The pressure inside the propane container depends on the temperature of the liquid propane. It expands when heated, taking up more space within the container, and contracts when cooled. The propane container must never be filled beyond its maximum permitted filling volume, which is 80%. This allows the liquid propane to expand safely within the container. Liquid propane will vaporize rapidly in air, causing a refrigerating effect that makes everything it contacts extremely cold. If unprotected skin comes in contact with liquid propane, it will cause freeze burns because it extracts the heat from the skin as it vaporizes. Without taking proper safety measures, propane can cause third-degree or deep skin burns. Propane vapor is 1.5 times heavier than air. If propane vapor is released into still air, it will settle in low-lying areas such as ditches, drains, and floor openings. If there is a slight air movement, the propane vapor will dissipate quickly in the air. When you release liquid propane from a tank or cylinder into the air, it quickly turns into vapor, expanding 270 times its original volume. Therefore, liquid propane leaks are more hazardous than a vapor leak. Propane is classified as a flammable gas. Every propane release or leak creates the potential for a hazardous situation. The right mixture of propane vapor, air, and a source of ignition is all that is needed to create a fire or an explosion. This is why the propane filling area is restricted area. There must be no sources of ignition, such as smoking, open flames, running vehicles, etc., within the 3 meters or 10 feet of the filling connection. If a severe propane leak should occur, do not enter the propane vapor cloud. Evacuate the immediate area and promptly call the proper emergency responders. Now let's talk about propane storage. Small propane tanks should be stored in an upright position on an elevated, flat, sturdy surface in a well-ventilated area. Store them where the temperature does not exceed 49 degrees Celsius or drop below minus 40 degrees Celsius, and always away from electrical tools and other flammable materials. Do not store them inside or your home or your business. Whether full or empty, new or old, always store cylinders outdoors, whenever possible, away from heat sources and ignition sources. An above-ground propane tank needs to be at least 10 feet away from the exterior source of ignition. Open into direct vent gas appliances or mechanical ventilation air intakes. If activated, safety relief valves will vent propane vertically, meaning propane tanks cannot be installed under an awning or building overhang. Sources of ignition include window AC units and central AC compressors. Minimum distances increase with tank size and multiple tank installations. Now what about transportation of propane or transportation of dangerous goods? There is a 150 kilogram gross mass exemption in the TDG regulations under section 1.5 that states Part 3 documentation, Part 4 safety marks, Part 5 means of containment, Part 6 training, and Part 8 reporting requirements do not apply to the purchase and transportation of small propane cylinders or bottles from retail outlets. To use this exemption, the propane must be in one or more smaller containers, less than 46 liters, in compliance with Part 5, means of containment. The gross mass of all dangerous goods transported on the road or railway must be less or equal to 150 kilograms, and the dangerous good must be in a quantity or concentration available to the general public and are transported by a user or purchaser of the dangerous good or by a retailer to or from a user or purchaser of the dangerous goods. An example would be the purchase of a 20-pound propane tank for use with your gas barbecue, which is about approximately 17 liters per tank. Or, for example, 2 30-pound propane tanks used on a camper, which is approximately 27 liters per tank. These would both fall under that exemption. Storage during the winter. Keep your tanks at least 1/3 full to ensure propane is supplied to your equipment and vaporizes properly. When your propane tank is turned on, ensure the valve is fully open when in use and completely closed again when not in use. Clear snow from around large tanks. This will allow proper vaporization and access. Never try to fix any propane related issue yourself. Always use an expert. A permit is required for all new gas installation and changes to existing gas lines or gas equipment. Only licensed gas contractors can request a permit. Never use or store cylinders indoors or in any enclosed structure. Cylinders must be inspected and re-qualified every 10 years. So never fill a cylinder that requires an inspection. And this should go without saying, but never smoke while handling propane. Now I want to talk to you about prevention measures and first aid. Protective clothing, such as nylon, non-nylon, since nylon can create static electricity. Gloves, such as those made of neoprene, which do not dissolve in the presence of propane. Gloves treated with PVC, nitrate, non-absorbing, cold-resistant, etc. And appropriate eye protection must be worn when connecting, disconnecting, or filling propane containers. To prevent accidents to the eyes and skin, the following preventative measures should be followed. Wear safety glasses, goggles, or face shield when you are filling propane containers or you are connecting or disconnecting propane cylinders and tanks to and from other equipment. Wear appropriate gloves and anti-static clothing that fully covers the skin when filling propane containers or when you are connecting or disconnecting propane cylinders and tanks to and from other equipment. First aid measures. In the event of an accident, the following first aid measures are recommended. Contact with eyes. Contact with liquid, flush the eyes with lukewarm water for 15 minutes. Obtain immediate medical care. Contact with the skin, such as a freeze burn from liquid contact. Immediately place affected area in lukewarm water and keep at this temperature until circulation returns. If fingers or hands are frostbitten, have victim hold their hands next to their body, such as under their armpits, and obtain immediate medical care. It is important to remember that to have fuel ignition, all three elements must be present and meet the physical requirements, or the right ratio, for the fuel to combust at the right temperature. A match, candle, flame, or other ignition sources must never be used to check for propane leaks. Use a commercial leak detection solution or a 50-50 mixture of liquid soap and water when checking for propane leaks. The expanding bubbles will indicate a leak if present. Never operate electrical switches or any power tool if suspecting a propane leak. What about fire extinguisher precautions? The following items must be kept in mind when dealing with propane leaks and fires. Use water spray to cool exposed cylinders and tanks. Metal container shells require cooling with water to prevent flame impregnation and weakening of the metal. Do not extinguish fires unless the source of escaping propane feeding the fire can be shut off using the service valve. Fire can be extinguished with water as well as carbon dioxide or dry chemical fire extinguishers. If sufficient water is not available to protect the container shell from weakening, the area must be evacuated immediately. If propane has not ignited, liquid or vapor may be dispersed by water, spray, or flooding. When using propane-fueled heaters indoors, it is important to remember that propane requires air to burn efficiently. Otherwise, incomplete combustion may occur. CO, or carbon monoxide, is produced when there is insufficient air for propane combustion or when combustion products are recycled through the heater. CO is a colorless, odorless gas that, even in small quantities within the air, is readily absorbed by a person's bloodstream, depriving the body of oxygen. A person exposed to CO may experience any or all of the following symptoms: watering of the eyes, headache, tightness across the forehead and temples, weariness, weakness, dizziness and vomiting, and or loss of muscle control. CO poisoning is a very serious matter and must not be ignored. It may lead to unconsciousness and even death. If someone exhibits these symptoms, get the person and everyone outside to fresh air and call 911 and or your local fire department. Obtain immediate medical treatment for all individuals affected by the CO and have the area tested before re-enter. Thanks for watching this safety short video on propane safety, and be sure to check out our growing list of additional safety short videos and our safety related resources at motorsafety.ca. Remember, someone out there is waiting for you to come home. So be safe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.